What's up, bosses? It's Coach Randy Byrd here, Like a Boss Coaching, and I'm here for my weekly coaching call. It is the 11th of February, 2 days after Super Bowl. I say that because football season's over. I'm officially in mourning. I literally get into mourning after the Super Bowl because I know it's like 7 months before we have another game, but it's okay. Congrats to the Eagles. I hoped deep down they'd win. I bet on the Kansas City Chiefs and the three-peat I did. I took that, got smoked. But congrats, man. Eagles fans, I got a lot of people that live in Eagles. I'm a Raiders fan. So me and Mark, it's just what we do. Raiders fans. So when you're a faithful Raiders fan for 30 years, you have to pick another team you like also, just so you could have some fun watching the football
I
season.
love it.
So the last couple years has been Detroit for me. That was my backup team that I was rooting for and hoping that they would do well. And then I did like following the Bills. I really am a fan and watching what he's accomplished. But listen, enough of football. Let's talk real estate. And real estate is very related to right here. That 6 inches between your ears, 7 inches, 8 inches for some of us big headed dudes. And but the reality is that is where 90% of this game is won or lost. I'm going to be straight honest with you. It's where 90% of the game is won or lost. So when I think of real estate coaching, do I get in here and tell you how to get listings? That would be valuable. Do I get in here and tell you how to have follow-up systems? That would be valuable. Or do I focus on how we can fortify our noggin, our brain, our behaviors, our actions into a discipline in a real estate business that's going to move the needle, right? It doesn't matter if you're a buyer's agent on a team, if you're a solo agent trying to make it on your own, and in real estate, we're very entrepreneurial. We're very lone wolf, right? We join this because of the great opportunity of having complete freedom, right? We get into it thinking we're going to have time and financial freedom. Those usually don't go together. Out of everybody I've ever coached, I've only had one guy ever that's got a balance of time and financial freedom in his real estate production business. And he'd been in the business 20 years. He'd figured it out. He'd bought a house every other year, had a really nice investment portfolio, had a lot of residual income, had a nice referral based real estate business, worked 3 days a week, had a buyer's agent, one assistant. It was just, in my opinion, it was really a perfectly scripted solo agent real estate business, making a half a million a year in GCI, making half a million a year in residual income from his investments and rentals and stuff. But that is such a rare bird, right? That is such a out of hundreds of people I've coached, it's usually one or the other. Got lots and lots of money and no time, or got lots and lots of time because I ain't got no money. It's just how real estate is. So when I look at that, I'm like, okay, we've got to rewire our brains to understand that this is a very disciplined activity that needs to happen in real estate, but it can be done in a short period of time. I'm challenging you that you could build a 20, 40, 100 transaction a year business independently without a team. You need a couple support people once you start getting over about 20, 25 deals. You can do it all on your own until then. You could be the lone ranger or female version of that superwoman. You could do that on your own completely. Okay. I'm going to mute a couple of people just in case. Come off mute if you have anything you want to ask me or anything else. Thank you. I'm just going to make sure it's quiet. So when we look at this real estate space, that's why I say it's right here. It's mental. Because if you understood, like with complete clarity, that if you work 2 hours a day, everything else would fall into place, you would do it. But I just believe that you haven't moved into a belief system yet that that's truly how this business works. Right? And I'm talking about forward-facing prospecting. Talking about forward-facing lead generation for your business. A real estate business is a lead generation machine or it's a lead receiving machine, right? Everything else is below that line. I don't have it on my board now, but I talked about it. Above the line is that agent activity, servicing buyers and sellers, negotiating contracts, taking listings, meeting with buyers and having buyer representation agreement conversations. All above the line, negotiating inspections, negotiating above the line, inspection below the line, right? Visiting every inspection, visiting every time that anybody needs to go to the property. That is not your highest and best use. Now, if you put your time into your real estate business on the front end, then you can decide what you do with the rest of that day. But so what I want to do is I want to focus in, and I'm going to reference this a lot. If you guys don't have it, The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill. This is the deluxe edition somebody gave me as a gift. It's huge. It's like the size of my head. Look at this. It's huge. 726 pages. I'm 150 pages into it. I love, love, love it. What it is the 15, and this is not the accurate. There are actual books called the 12 irrefutable laws of whatever. But I'm going to say these laws are irrefutable. But if we look at the 15 laws as laid out in this book, and again, don't try to write this down, just absorb, right? We're going to be going through this. This is recorded. You can listen to it. But the 15 laws are laid out like this: a definite chief aim, self-confidence, the habit of saving, initiative and leadership, 5, imagination, 6, enthusiasm, 7, self-control, 8, habits of doing more than you're paid for, 9, pleasing personality, 10, accurate thought, 11, concentration, 12, cooperation, 13, failure, 14, tolerance, and 15, the golden rule. The reason I ripped those things off is because we're going to be talking about these as we progress. I'm going to be attaching my sermon, my coaching sermon, to one of these topics throughout the weeks as we progress. And they'll be available on recording, both on YouTube's and all the things that we do. But as I've read now, I'm back. I'm through 2 chapters now. So I've read your definite chief aim, which I'm going to talk about today. And then lesson 2, self-confidence, we'll talk about another day. But I want you to understand why, after 23 years in the industry, I came in 2003, so 22 years, and 10 years of coaching, 30,000 hours in coaching, I still go back to the things that help the mindset. I still go back to the things that are, in my opinion, irrefutable in the laws of success. So why do I do that? Have I not learned? Have I not reached a plateau in my career where I don't need this? And the answer for me is no, I never do, right? But I want to read a couple things. I just want to bring up a couple things, and then we'll talk about it. But what I want to focus on is your definite chief aim. And it talks about that when you're laser focused on what you want to accomplish, the world will help you achieve it, right? And no matter what your thought process is, we are, vibrational electric human beings, meaning that we can understand frequency and vibration. And I know this is a little whimsical for some of you. I get it. The first time I went to a meditation retreat with a girlfriend, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in the wrong place, maybe even the wrong state, it felt like. But because I was closed-minded to it, I didn't understand it, scared me, seemed weird. But every amazing scholar on the planet talks about getting quiet, meditation, prayer, getting to a place to where you can kind of tap into your higher self. And that's why I love the visualization that comes behind the idea that we control all of our actions, because the reaction to these things like call reluctance and fear of loss, fear of death, fear of success. These are all real fears, by the way. How can somebody have fear of success or fear of failure, and another person can have a fear of success? How does that work? But those are real things. Do you understand? Those are absolutely real things. There's probably an equal amount of people that struggle with fear of success as much as they do people that struggle with fear of failure. Fear of failure is a more natural one to talk about because it's a natural thing that happens with a 200,000-year-old primal brain, right? We had to go out and hunt and gather and kill and eat to survive. And do you realize that when you make a call to a stranger, when you're having all those emotions, You're basically entering a fight or flight. You're entering a point to where your body says, no, 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 this may hurt us. Even though it's not a true, tangible physical fear or physical damage that can be done, your body thinks so. Your palms sweat, your hands get calmy and balmy. You could physically sweat, your voice gets shaking. Right? What causes all this stuff from a simple phone call where you absolutely cannot be hurt? Unless you said something to a bad guy and you knew where you lived, right? I mean, there can be ramifications to everything I'm saying, but you understand where I'm going, right? So what if you had literally zero fear attached to reaching out to anybody? What if you could rewire your brain to know, okay, the fear things are going off, but I'm gonna put that fire out with this, with a belief system, with a training, with anything you can. Right? Am I losing anybody yet? It's okay because this is a deep subject in my opinion. But what about if I could hypnotize you? What if I can, put something over your head and then remove it and all of a sudden you're clear and you have zero fear around making a phone call? What would your real estate business look like? Be honest. If you were able to get through 50 or 100 phone calls a day with zero attachment, zero fear, and know that you're actually helping them, coming from a place of contribution, coming from a place of like, hey, I have like $10,000 to give you. I show this a lot. I do this as a prop when I do my on stage stuff. It's 10 grand, fake money, Chinese money. Says somewhere on there Chinese money, but it looks as real as can be. Matter of fact, if this was mixed in with my other stuff, I would probably try to spend it somewhere. $7, 10 grand, Amazon. But my point is when I hand somebody that 10 grand, I'm like, hey, Mark, you have to call clients today and you have to get them to agree to have a conversation with you for 5 minutes, but they don't know it. At the end of the 5 minutes, you're going to give them 10 grand. Could you do that? And he's like, oh, yes, 100%. Hell yes, I could do that. Why? Mark, take off mute and talk to me for a minute.
How you doing, Randy?
I'm doing great, man. So if I challenged you with that, if I said, Mark, I got 10 grand, as a matter of fact, it's unlimited. You have till midnight. All you have to do is talk to people that you don't necessarily know and say, I need to talk to you for 5 minutes. Can I have 5 minutes of your time? What would that look like for you?
That would look pretty good
Why?
because there's an incentive at the end.
What do you get from it?
I get the reward of making a new client, developing a relationship, having a conversation, and possibly selling some real estate at the end of the day.
Yeah. So you're getting a reward, you said. Let's talk about that. What's the reward, immediate reward?
I think it's more gratification that I'm pushing my business forward. I'm making some contacts. I'm building my sphere. I'm building my sphere.
That's a way to look at it, Mark. I think we pull in from that natural human nature of wanting to help others, right?
Yes.
And if you knew you had 10 grand to give me, but you couldn't tell me you had 10 grand to give me until we had 5 minutes up on the clock, or what if I made it 20 minutes? Right? What would it sound like if I needed you to spend 20 minutes with me on the phone, but you knew at the end of that 20 minutes, you're getting 10 grand. You just don't know it yet.
It would sound very upbeat.
Well, upbeat. And I mean, would you be willing to take no a few times from this person? Because it's going to start out like, hey, Mark, I appreciate it, man. There's a lot of good stuff out there, but I'm not interested.
Sure. I would take no, but I would continue to have a conversation until I hit on something that maybe made him think and change that no to a yes and continue the conversation. And surprisingly, 20 minutes would go by pretty fast.
Yeah, I love that. And you see where I'm going with this, though? Everybody was like 5 minutes. I could definitely do that. 20 minutes, it changes it. Like, oh my gosh, what am I going to talk about? Fear starts coming up again. Right? Think about this. When you're calling your clients, usually those phone calls are worth about 10 grand. That's the average commission for the average sales price in our nation. Call it 400 grand, average commissions 10 grand. So every single opportunity you have to get on a conversational call with a prospect that goes into your database, You might think of it long-term, like you mentioned, Mark, but it might be an immediate money as well. Why do we not come from that place? This is my exercise today. If I asked you to just call 10 strangers and talk about real estate, I guarantee you're going to find reasons not to do that. And even if you get to it, you're still going to struggle with some of the challenges that come up with called reluctance. It's just natural. But if you knew in your belly, in your heart, in your rear end that they're going to get 10 grand, and now walk you through this, Mark might even have a little reservation the first time he does this. I hope Randy better come up with that 10 grand because this is going to be embarrassing if I spend 20 minutes with this guy and then Randy doesn't come up with 10 grand. And then you do it. And then I go, bam, I Venmo him 10 grand. And then the guy goes, holy crap, this is real. I just got 10 grand Venmo to me. Mark's level increases. Mark's belief increases. Even though he may trust me 100%, his increasing level of belief is going to go up when he sees that happen. Then if it happens again and again and again, my level of exploring the belief with Mark is going to continue to increase over time. Right? Yes, Patrick.
So would you say that the key here is really believing when we're calling these people that we have something of value? Because that $10,000 that I'm going to be giving them in 5 minutes is kind of what gets me past that point of being afraid, because I know they would love that 10 grand, and said we really need to in our heart believe when we're calling it expired that we can do it better, or a pre-foreclosure that we can help save them from foreclosure, like that there's true value there, and not just use me because I want to make the money, but use me because I want to make you your money.
Yes, and yes. And where I'm coming from with this is this. If you didn't have an incentive on this and you were just making calls, you would stop. If I told you that you're going to give them 10 grand after 20 minutes, you're like, Mark, you don't understand. We need to stay on the call. At the end of 20 minutes, there's something of value I'm going to give you that is, you're not going to believe. I cannot tell you what it is. The only requirement is that we stay on the call and we talk about real estate and how I can help you. Well, what is it? I'm willing to, you sound like a nice guy, Mark, but what is it? I can't tell you. Okay, well, I'm going to go. You better not. I highly suggest you do not leave this phone call. You do, I can't go backwards on this. I cannot give you what's coming at the end of this phone call. Right? So mentally, what's going on for you? This is where the magic happens, right? When I do this from stage, the audience really digs into this, because if I just told you, hey, I want you to come up on stage right now and make some live phone calls to agents or to buyers and sellers you don't know, 99 out of 100 would be completely frozen in action, right? That's like you're doing it in front of a crowd of 3,000 people. Are you crazy? But then when I pull out that 10 grand, I go, what about if you did it for 10 grand? Could you do it then? The whole audience raises their hands. People run to the stage wanting to do it. They don't know it's fake money yet, right? They don't know it's Chinese money. I just say, I'm willing to give somebody 10 grand that I have in my hand right now. Why do all those people rush the stage? Because it's an immediate opportunity, gratitude wise. Many times we have our conversations, they're not immediate. There may even be 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months down the road, but we're bringing the same value. We're bringing the same value. So when I talk about the book and I talk about your definite chief aim, what is your definite chief aim in life for real estate life? Anybody want to give me a shot at this? Got a lot of cameras off today. Are you guys paying attention? Jody Joe, I see your name. How you doing? George, Dan, Sonia, Nick. You guys are here on this coaching call. Dan, how you doing?
I'm here. I just didn't think you guys would want to watch me eating lunch, so I turned off the camera. But I'm
right,
watching it
because I'm hungry.
and this is great. Okay. This is great content. I love it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
This is George. I'm also listening in. Just didn't put my face on today.
It's all right. I'm calling out everybody today. Everybody. Jody Jones.
I am paying attention. Thank you.
Yes. Hey. Here. Thank you.
Fix your darn hair and get on video.
Great stuff, Randy.
So, here's the deal. Dan, get your food out of there. Now my stomach's growling. You warned me though, so bravo. So listen, this is where I'm coming from. One of the things I highlighted in the book: render more service for which you are paid and you will soon be paid more than you render. The law of increasing returns. As I read this definite chief aim, I was even, Brent says it a lot, um, a wandering generality, right? Instead of a meaningful specific. And he said that to me 20 times. I really didn't soak in until I was reading this chapter. And I was like, holy moly, that's exactly what I am. And a lot of people would look at me and say, Randy is far from a general specific, right? But the reality is when I read this and I started being really challenged by like, what's my definite chief aim in real estate life? And it could change over time. It wouldn't have been the same answer 10 years ago, but now mine is impacting people through live events, impacting people through live coaching calls, impacting people through webinars and training pieces. Now they have a mutual benefit that I'm creating a web or a funnel of people that are getting to know, like, and trust Randy, right? That helps my journey and what I'm focused on through growing big organizations globally and being a team leader for thousands of people. But I was still thinking regionally, I was still thinking wrapping my arms around this rather than like thinking really big. How do I impact 100,000 people? Right? So my meaningful specific came that I want to impact 100,000 people in 2025. Wow. Now what? For me, it's about being vulnerable. It's about being getting out of my own way. It's about being fearless. Last night I was on a podcast, or I was on a 3-way call with Brent Gove and a special guy. And it was really a connection call, but I really am tracking with this guy. He's a well-known, like, global celebrity in my opinion, in a certain space. And through this connection, this masterminding, if you will, talks a lot about masterminding. The connection of more people together gives you more power. And he's like, how would you like to head up this national program? I was like, yeah, I'm open. Let's talk about that. And because I'm making statements like, I have a vision of impacting 100,000 people in the real estate space this year. It got said in front of the right person, potentially, right? All of a sudden, this opened up into something incredibly bigger than I could have ever dreamed. What if I was content? What if I was in a place of a wandering generality? Do you think I would have made that statement in front of such a bold, powerful guy? And I wasn't expecting a return. I was just stating me. I was just following my energy. What are you doing in your real estate business? Who are you? Are you okay having 2 or 3 jobs? Are you okay making 30, 40, 50,000 in GCI? That's respectable. There's nothing wrong with that. There's certainly nothing wrong with if you have other business ventures, and real estate's just one of them. I'm saying, let's get really specific in what your definite chief aim in life is, and then plan for 5 years in advance. What are you going to accomplish in the next 5 years in that space? And as you accomplish it, things could change. As you miss markers or don't reach certain plateaus, or the market changes, a lot of things can happen. You can adjust. But what is your definite chief aim? Right? My definite chief aim is having 10,000 people in my organization, impacting 100,000 people a year, helping agents move away from the stress of up and down income in their real estate businesses. That's really my definite chief aim. So then now I could start focusing on the other things that come into play that allow that to happen. And listen, I'm human. I'm human just like everybody else. I do not put myself above you at all. I'm a very introspective learner, right? I am a sponge for home or self-improvement and for digging into those things that are going to move me forward. Hopefully that's why you're here. Hopefully this tracks with you. So you know that after you get off this call, it's not just motivation. It's actually, inspiration, perspiration. You're willing to make changes in your real estate business. This is why I come on every week and bring my best. This is where I prepare and I try to bring my best to move the needle a little bit to get you going in a direction that creates some monumental momentum in your business, as well as some legacy and some, helping you fulfill that definite chief aim. So any questions on this? Any questions, takeaways, anything? I know it's a little bit of a deep subject, but it's what I'm tracking with right now and super, super valuable to me. How are you doing? Come on. Anything before we wrap up?
Well, you got me fired up. I'm jumping on the phones right after this.
I love it. So, Patrick, may I recommend something? Take 2 or 3 minutes after this and write down the things that were impactful to you. Write those things down, put them pen to paper, and just say, awesome, I love it. Just say, this is what's important to me. This is what I'm committed to. Work on that specific and the specificity of that plan, right? And then when you enter that, you'll have this conversation with people that changes, you'll find, right? Mr. and Mrs. Sellers, Randy Byrd, eXp Realty. I know you don't know me, but I'm providing value to this particular neighborhood. I deem as an expert in this particular subdivision. I'd like to just be in relationship with you. You can use other agents. All these things are open to me. But what I'm not okay with is not being in a relationship with somebody good like yourself that lives in this area that I'm really focused on. And I want to find out how we can track together in that message, right? And then no matter what they say, I'm going to follow suit with that. Hey, okay, you've got a couple agents you love, stay with them. Matter of fact, if they do a great job, stay with them forever. But I want to get you in my system over here. My system, we do podcasts about the neighborhood. We talk to the local police chiefs and school superintendents. We become the social digital mayor of that area. That would have value to you. Would you agree? All right, perfect. I'll stay in touch with you. I will honor any other relationships. If you ever need me, may the best man or woman win, right? Usually they go, oh, yeah, we already have an agent. It's Sally. Sally who? I don't know, Sally. What company is Sally with? I don't know. It's a sign. It's got I don't know. Might have a balloon. It might have a fish. I'm not sure. They don't really have a relationship with Sally, right? It's either a blow off or they really have a Sally that's not following up very well with them. But come in with that enthusiasm that you have 10 grand you're going to give them at the end of this phone call. I'm telling you, it's a motivator. It works. And sometimes it's just what it takes to get over that call reluctance. One more tool I love, I talked about this yesterday, maybe somewhere else, but the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? When you're feeling procrastinating, or you're like laying in bed, not wanting to get up, or you should be making a call because you said you would at noon and now it's noon, do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And when you're done with 1, non-negotiable. When you start this countdown, it's non-negotiable. You're actually framing your brain to say we're doing something, and you're giving it that countdown is very, very powerful. So try it. I named the author of it yesterday. I forget who it was right now. But it's a powerful technique to use. I use it. I'll be in a book and I'll realize it's 7 a.m. and I said I do something at 7 a.m. workout or whatever it is. I look at my book and I go, all right, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bam, non-negotiable. It works great for getting on your calls. Yes, Dan, real quick before we lock up.
Oh, I just said it's Mel Robbins.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Hey, I appreciate you all being here, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you. Thank you. I see you. I see your greatness. I'm not just saying that. This is all right in your wheelhouse. And we're here together. I'll be here every week for you. All right. If you have questions, comments, anything like that, let me check chat out of respect. Okay, cool. It's been fantastic. I appreciate you, Sonia. Thank you for that. I'll see you guys here next week. Have a powerful week. And if you haven't got it already, get the Law of Success. You don't have to get this big Bible version of this thing. They have a small paperback as well. The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill. I think it is literally the fundamentals of business. Okay, everybody. Cheers. I appreciate it. Enjoy your lunch. Except you, Dan, you already ate. Now we can go eat. It's noon Pacific time.
Thanks, Randy.
All right, you guys. Have a great day. I appreciate you. Coach Byrd out for now.